We are going to talk about the championship series first. We are going to start in the AL with the Yankees and the Guardians. And I gotta say, I'm a little bit sad because it could have been a gritty Tigers matchup against the Yankees, and I think they would have given them a better shot than the Guardians did. The Guardians were just outclassed in this one.
I mean, the Guardians pitching kind of fell through, and I don't know if this is a definite thing we can pin on, but there was definitely some thoughts slash concerns the after the sorry, John's literally calling me as we speak, and I'm like debating whether I should
Don't
answer it
don't
or
don't
not.
leak his number. Don't leak his number, brother.
um, yeah,
But anyway, what I was trying to say was before John, out of all people who's not here distracting me, was that the Guardians and Tigers series ended with what looked like the possibility that their pitching may have been overexposed. So there was that as a potential concern entering the championship series. And I think you could definitely see as the series went on, the Yankees took prime advantage of maybe seeing the Guardians pitching too much. As sure, there were a lot of close matchups, but the Yankees always seem to come out on top late versus the back end of that dominant Guardians bullpen. So, I mean, would the Tigers have been that much better? Maybe slightly offensively, just out of sheer like unpredictability. But I feel like it would have ended the same.
uh, by the way, John called me too. He probably heard what I said and is not happy about it.
If he calls me, if he calls me next, I swear to God.
He's going to. Look,
That's the number.
I think the Yankees, in their really both their series against the Royals and against the Guardians, kind of made those teams look like what we
Yeah,
thought they
there
were
he
going to
is.
be preseason. God, at this point, I feel like just answer the damn call. Like this guy is just
The
messing with my
you know what the
flow.
funny thing is? The funny thing is that if he wants to call into the show, he can literally call the Zoom meeting. So hold on a second. Anyway, keep going. I'll handle this.
Yeah, we might get a special guest appearance from
What a
the man
close up of the
himself.
producer right now.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry.
So yeah, I mean, it looked like the Yankees. I mean, they made those teams look honestly like we kind of thought they were. It felt like those teams were outmatched. The Guardians, as you said, kind of got exposed in their pitching this series, and you got to give it to the Yankees because the big thing that we really said about this team, the struggles that they're going to have, and a lot of people said was that, hey, you can't rely on two or three guys to carry your lineup the whole way. And they said, screw that. Absolutely, we can. And that's what's happening. And I mean, not even Aaron Judge in this postseason. He's been struggling, but Juan Soto is uh, playing like he wants a $700 million contract. And Giancarlo Stanton looking like prime Giancarlo Stanton back in the Miami Marlin days. And I mean, they're just hitting the hell out of the ball, and that's what you're going to be seeing in this World Series matchup. You got two teams who are just smacking the ball out of the park right now. They were among the top three teams in the league in the regular season in home runs, and look, power translates in October, man, and we're seeing it now. Especially the clutch situations. Excuse me, the Juan Soto home run to take the lead in that game, that clinching game, that decisive game, and they're just doing it, man. They are doing what they need to do to get through this bracket. I think some people, now that they handle the Guardians so well, will say, "Oh, well, they play the Royals and the Guardians," but those are two really good teams this year, and I don't think you can take it away from them. And I think, uh, I think a lot of people are upset by this World Series matchup just because of the two teams, and it's the teams that spend all this money and they're fans some people think are obnoxious, but at the same time, it is going to be a star-studded matchup and should be interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, Will, to kind of my point with the bats, do you see that translating into the World Series? And what happens with Aaron Judge because he's really struggled this offseason or this postseason, excuse me.
um, I don't know if it'll change too much with Judge. I mean, he historically in his career has not been a great postseason player. He's hit for power, but he's been a low 200s hitter in this postseason. He's hitting sub 200. I think if the Yankees want to beat the Dodgers, they're probably going to need a little bit more contribution from other parts of the lineup. Now, Gleyber Torres has done well as well. So if Judge can be more like Judge, or Chisholm can, take that cocky attitude with the stats as well, then the Yankees might have enough to overcome the Dodgers, which at times absolutely walloped the Mets. So, home run's going to be their goal, but they need to boost their runners in scoring position numbers if they want to take the World Series.
And I think, and we'll kind of get into this again in the preview, but I think the big thing with the Dodgers we've been talking about all postseason is their pitching is so injured. Are they going to be able to keep up with, the Padres at the time and even the Mets? And they've been able to do that. And now you're running into a Yankees rotation who kind of coming into the postseason a little banged up. Cortez goes out, and you're like, all right, what happens with him and a lot of that stuff. But they're relying a lot on some of those bullpen pieces. They're getting, for so long, Clay Holmes was such a problem in the back end, and they find Luke Weaver, and he's being able to shut it down for them for the most part. So yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to give the edge to the Yankees in that category. I mean, anything to add on the pitching staff? We know that Garrett Cole is going game one, and I think for any team, that is going to be a tough mountain to climb.
I do think the fact that the Yankees don't have an all bullpen game as part of their starting pitching strategy will give them a bit of an advantage there. Because one thing I did not love of that Dave Roberts admitted to was he basically said he had 2 games he threw away. Now, granted, did he really throw them away if it was partially after the fact they had lost and he just kind of was like, yeah, well, we weren't supposed to win those anyway, type of things. Um, but the Dodgers will have the issue. They will have the challenge of overexposing their bullpen and maybe having to have, if Roberts manages the same way, a potential throwaway game so that they can preserve their back end guys. And I think that the Yankees' current starting rotation and bullpen will
I'm
help
talking.
them. Sorry, I
We're
have a little.
struggling today.
No, it's that John is distracting this podcast and
I
he's
got it.
distracting
Well,
everything
so
I'm doing.
he's gonna
So
call in a second here. Just give me 1 second here. He's going to dial in. We have never tried this before.
I didn't. I did not realize how hard it is to, talk
it
and then
is.
try to
It is.
maneuver the settings
It
in the
is. I'm so
podcast.
sorry. I am so sorry, but we will get there. This is going to be
That's why
funny when he
Tyler.
does it too. We've honestly never
Oh
tried.
God.
Honestly, you know what? It's good that he's doing this because then we know we can do this if we end up, bringing on someone down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Also,
just
we just
it's
turned into a
a good
radio.
idea.
We just got our call-ins on the radio here.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, kind of to your point, Will, I think it was interesting the comments that Roberts came out with. Now, again, I feel like we're talking too much about the World Series. We will get there, but
Oh,
will the Dodgers outslug some of their pitching problems? Maybe because they have so far. But at the same time, again, we'll talk about it in a little bit. On the side of Cleveland, as you kind of mentioned already, they have a little bit of a shocking series, if you will, out of them. I mean, for how consistent they've been all year, they get exposed a little bit. What can you really say about the Guardians? I mean, look, they kind of exceeded everybody's expectations, and it's kind of a team now where you look, and then when you kind of give those predictions for next year, it's hard to really go away from them because they just have been so consistent really over the years, and they put together another great year with, not so many. They don't have a lot of big names like the Yankees and
yeah.
Dodgers do.
Yeah, well, but also last year they won like what 79 games or something. So
They're always in
I
the
mean,
mix, though. They're always in the
they're
mix.
all I mean they're always in the mix because they are such a wild card. I don't know if that necessarily means like you can expect year in and year out, but I think as long as they can keep a healthy and strong bullpen, then absolutely they have a chance of competing every year. I mean, right now they have Ramirez and Naylor that can lead the offense, and Quan had a stretch where he was godlike at the top of the order. So, I mean, the Guardians weren't the most consistent though in the second half. They were consistent if you want to say they were around a 500 team,
Yeah.
but that's about it. And I think that the pitching just got overexposed in the back end and overused in the to end the series.
I mean, they had a
But
lot of clutch
real
moments.
quick, I think someone else is here
I was
now.
gonna set it
Um,
up. I'm a
oh, I'm so
professional
sorry.
host. I'm a professional host.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Go on.
the Guardians had a lot of clutch moments in this series, very exhilarating. Somebody who had an exhilarating wedding and a fun-filled wedding and is now on his honeymoon. And I think is here just to make a point. John Travis,
Oh
everybody.
boy.
Calling in from uh
Even hear him yet?
yes.
Hold on.
That's the question you have. It is a USA soccer jersey representing that. Of course, that's the most John question I've ever heard in my life. We're talking about a baseball podcast. He's like, "Oh, your lovely wife."
Oh boy.
Well, you are on your honeymoon, and I want to preface this to her with saying we didn't
Hold on.
expect you to call in. This was all you. So, she can take that out on you. Producer Bobby said, "Hold on." I don't know what I'm holding on for, but you know.
Oh,
Oh, there he is. Okay.
as I'm drinking as I'm drinking my mimosa right now.
Oh,
Um,
at 8:13 at night.
I did want to ask the question of what were your guys' thoughts as far as my picks were concerned. I hope you do talk about that. If I could give my picks
Yes,
real quick.
we are currently right now on ALCS stuff, but
Bobby, they
we'll
can't hear John.
we
I
can't hear
know.
John.
That's why I was trying to tell everyone to hold on.
Oh,
But
hold
no
on.
one wants to
Tyler, you're
listen to the
screwing up.
producer.
Well, you said hold on and then didn't say anything. Am I supposed to talk about something else, John? They cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
I got it now.
Oh, we got
Oh,
it
you
now.
got it
Oh, you
now.
can hear me.
Oh, okay. For those who didn't hear, by the way, John asked me what kind of shirt I was wearing. And again, USA soccer jersey.
Yeah, what is that shirt, Ty? What is that shirt?
Number two, watch a soccer game, represent. Number two, I will, so John can go back to his lovely honeymoon, say that he picked the Dodgers in 6 games. And would you like
Okay.
to explain your reasoning to that? Anything
My reasoning,
particular?
I just think this video game team is going to overpower the Yankees and their struggles at the moment. But the problem is that
What struggles?
I have a feeling I'm not going to get what I want, and that is that the Yankees don't get their 28. That's my
Yeah.
honest opinion.
Well,
Is that I want the Dodgers to win in 6, but I don't know. I don't trust the Yankees. But yeah, first time, long time, guys. If you
Yeah.
didn't hear that before.
Appreciate that. I mean, all those Yankees fans out there already just not happy with this podcast already. With our slander of them, I think at times it was something that needed to be said, and there was that whole thing we said. Aaron Boone, does he go? Well, you know what? He proved himself, and now if he wins the World Series, maybe
Did he prove himself? I guess with how the bullpen performed, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you got to win it first. I mean, we saw Buck Showalter back in the '90s. He had success, but he never won it. So,
Oh, I think he has
you
a
got
job
to
next year.
when it comes to the Yankees, you got to win it in order to say that you won it. But in order to be for sure, I should say.
Yes.
But that's just because it's the Yankees and it's a totally different thing altogether. Also, I wanted to, as I was telling Ty, as my lovely wife walked by as I'm on the phone with y'all, she gave y'all the finger for your comments.
Yeah, well,
that
you're not excused for missing
It's
the
not an
podcast.
excuse. That was all Tyler.
That well,
she said it's in the shape of a heart. The finger
Oh,
isn't the shape
right,
of the heart.
right. Well, look,
Ah, that makes it
I
all better. All that
as
makes it
Yeah.
all
as
better.
somebody who is just
Oh,
perfect, I like to hold people accountable, and you can't miss us for anything. I would die on this show. Okay.
What?
you would
Um,
Okay,
die on
now
the
hold
show.
on a second.
but yes, getting
Oh
getting
gosh.
back to the baseball. You're welcome to stay as long as you can, but we are going to go back to ALCS talk because there is some things I want to touch on before we get over to the NLCS. Um,
All right. Well, I'm gonna let y'all go, and
you you know
I'm
what?
gonna get back to my mimosas
You have
while
fun,
You do
John.
that.
y'all hold it down. Don't get us canceled, okay?
I'll try
Too
not to.
late.
Long time listener John, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Our first call into the podcast. We appreciate that very much. Getting back to the task at hand, though. Well, how do you see the Guardians next year? Like, I mean, I know we need to go through an off season where moves happen and stuff like that, but they're one of these teams that have adopted the bullpen strategy of, you know, they're using it a lot more in the regular season, obviously in the postseason. Do you think that's something that they continue to do, and will that play into next year?
Since this is Stephen Vogt's first year as, again, a new manager, first year ever, I think this is probably something that they stick with. Do I think this will result end with the same results next year as they did this year? As you said, it'll really come down to what happens in the offseason, mainly with what the Royals and the Tigers do, especially because the Tigers are going to be a very similar team and how they're run next year, if not even more so, considering they really only had one true starting pitcher.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Guardians are gonna they live and die by pitching. It seems like year in and year out, and they hope to get enough contribution from their offense. While that's definitely shown success in the regular season, I don't feel like if you look at the history of baseball, I should say the modern history or recent history, I don't think there's ever truly been a team though that has lived by this like bullpen um, or all bullpen or whatever you want to call it mentality, having starters go 5 innings or less and let the bullpen eat the bulk of the game. I don't feel like a team like that has ever won the World Series. So I don't know if that's really the answer if you want to win it all in the end. But if you're just trying to make it to the postseason on a medium or low budget, go ahead.
And, we kind of talked about the Guardians weren't themselves, but at the same point, for them, you almost have to feel like, there was times they end up losing in 5 games, so it's more lopsided than I think the series really was, right? Like there's games, I think game four is
They fought.
one. They did, and I think game four is one that they'd like to have back. They give the 2 runs up in the ninth in a game they could have won there. Obviously, game five, same situation. You have, Soto hitting the go-ahead shot in the 10th, and that's another one that you feel like you really could have won. So it's a series that goes 5 games, but could have easily swung. Regardless, I think again the Guardians are a well run team, a well oiled machine, and I think they will be back next year.